Here we go, class 5, video number 2. We're going to start talking about some conversions. Conversions are very, very important for all of you tradespeople out there. It is something that you need to do when you're reading blueprints. It's something you'll need to do at work, in the field, and it's something that you're responsible for in your apprenticeship training. So here we go. First thing we're going to try to do is take a fraction to a decimal. I'm sure you've all done this before. So if we had 11/16, just 11 divided by 16. You know here I have to 2 decimal places. So what I mean by that, I want 2 numbers after the decimal. Not to the left of the decimal, to the right of the decimal. 2 numbers to the right of the decimal. Now, if that third number is 5 or above, we round this one up. So that's why this ends up at 0.69. So we took the fraction 11/16. We made it a decimal by 11 divided by 16. This is the number we get, and we want to go 2 decimal places, 2 numbers after the decimal. If the third one is 5 or above, that rounds up to 0.69. Okay? Same here, if we had 7/8. 7 divided by 8. Here's our number, our third number, 5 or above. That goes up to 0.88. This one here, if we had a mixed number, a whole number and a fraction, that whole number won't change. It stays as 1. So 9/16, 9 divided by 16. Here's our number. Look at our third number is less than 5. So guess what? This stays at 0.56. The final answer here is 1.56. Okay? Fraction to decimal. Just dividing the numerator by the denominator. 2 decimal places is 2 numbers after the decimal. Third number, 5 or above, we round that up. Okay? Done, done. Alright, next we have decimal to fraction. And we're going to take all of our decimals to a 1/16 of an inch. Many of you were probably taught to do this a very different way, but this is a great way for tradespeople to do this. It keeps it a little bit simpler, and it gets us to a number that you can use on your tape measure. Because at the end of the day, that is your most important tool. You've got to be able to read that thing and get your dimensions right. So starting off here, we're going to take everything to a 1/16 of an inch. So if we had the decimal, 0.69, and we want to get it to a fraction, a 16, we times it by 16. And whatever number we get, we put it over 16. So we take our decimal, we times it by 16, we take the whole number, whatever we get, and put it over 16. Okay? New to a lot of you, so just bear with me and bear with yourself. You will catch on to it. If we had 4.84 inches, 4 inches, not going to change. We have 4 inches. But this decimal, 0.84 times 16, gives us 13.44. We're just taking that number before the decimal, putting it over 16. So we end up with 4 and 13/16. Decimal to fraction timesing by 16. If we had 9.35 inches, again, 9 inches, that will not change. We have 9 inches. We're taking our decimal, 0.35 times 16. This time, we get a number 5.6. So, when we're getting our fraction again, if after the decimal, 5 or above, we round that up, and that would make that 6/16. Okay? So we're at a 16th here. But now, you are expected to be able to reduce that. Okay, so when you're working in the shop, if 6/16 is the way you read your tape measure, I don't want you to change that. I'm just making you aware, when we see this now, we're expected to reduce it. So our friendly little ABC button, 6 divide 16, does that for us. So we end up at 9 3/8. Okay, so if you see a question, get it to a 16, we get it to a 16. And then we reduce it if possible, because in the testing world, in the paper world, this is the exception here. This is the expectation here, okay? Next, feet to inches. There is 12 inches in a foot. So this one's pretty straightforward. We just take our feet, times it by 12. So we have 4 feet times 12, 48 inches. If we had a number like 5.62 feet, which is a number you probably will see on some blueprints, times it by 12, we get it to 67.44 inches. Right, so we know we have 67 inches. Then we have to take our decimal and get it to a 16. We know how to do it. 0.44 times 16, 7.04. Remember, we're just taking that first number before the decimal, putting it over 16. Final answer, 67 and 7/16, okay? From blueprint to tape measure. Inches to feet, we gotta divide by 12. So, there's 12 inches in a foot, we have 48 inches, we divide by 12, and we get 4 feet. If we had 93.25 inches, that should be identified as inches, divide by 12, we get 7.77 feet. So one thing we do want to remember, when we're writing out our numbers, this one here, like that, stands for 4 feet with 1 dash. If we're just talking about inches, like this one here, 48 inches, okay? Feet, inches. All right, next, for the first sheet you're going to work on here today, looks like a chart, okay? And at the top of that chart, we have inches and fractional parts of an inch, inches and decimal parts of an inch, feet, inches and fractional parts of an inch, and feet and decimal parts of a foot. So what we have going on here, we are going to have one number, but it can be written out in 4 different formats. It can be written out 4 different ways. Here's the beauty of it. You will be responsible for converting these numbers back and forth. Because at the end of the day, you're the person who's going to build it or fix it or whatever you're doing. You have to make sure you can get those numbers to your tape measure. Okay? So we'll start slowly. We'll start with the first one. So inches and fractional parts of an inch. What does that mean? Inches and a fraction is what that means. So you'll always be given, obviously, one number that you got to work with. So if we're given 19/11/16, perfect. This one here, this column here, inches and decimal parts of an inch. No problem. Our inches, we know we have 19 inches. To get a fraction to a decimal, we know how to do it. 11 divide 16, that's the number we get. This number, right, we're going 2 decimal places. If the third number is 5 or above, we round that up to a 9. So the answer here is 19.69 inches, right? Same number, just it's in fractional form here and in decimal form here. Now, the next one, feet, inches, and fractional parts of an inch. We need 3 things. We need feet, we need inches, and we need fraction, okay? Now, this is the same number, so some of the work is done here for you, right? So our fraction here won't change. We know 11/16, okay? We need to figure out how many feet and inches are in 19 inches, okay? It is 1 foot 7, okay? So if you were to look at your tape measure, and you were to look at 19 inches, or you were to count out 1 foot 7, has to be in the same place, okay? If you don't know that, that's all right, we can get there, right? Did I do it here? We know that we know that 1 foot, right, is 12 inches. And we had 19 inches, so 19 minus 12 gives us 7. That's where that's coming from, and again, your fraction won't change. So here's the key to this. This spot here on your tape measure and this spot here on your tape measure has to be the same place. If I send you to get material that's 19 11/16 or 1 foot 7 11/16, it has to be the same measurement, okay? Takes a while maybe to get your head around this, but we're going to get there. We're going to get there. The very last column is feet and decimal parts of a foot. So we take this whole number here, because we have inches and decimal, we divide it by 12, and that brings us over here to 1.64 feet. Okay, I do realize at first this is a little confusing. You won't be the first group of students that said, I'm really confused here, I don't know what's going on. I ask you to be patient with yourselves. You had to put some work in to work at it. The good news is I keep it coming at you for the whole year. So we're just going to start slowly and we're going to work through it. And we want to remember, if you need help, right, room 104, math room, the torture room. Also by email, whatever day that you're not here. I know this week, today's September 21st. Whatever day that you're don't have any class this week, you get a hold of me and we can set up a time to do some one-on-one here. We can also set up a time to do one-on-one on Microsoft Teams. Whatever works for you is going to work for me. Remember in your folders, right, there's 2 weeks of work, so class 5 and 6 are the expectation to have it done by next week. Thanks, see you later.